So I tried recording myself a few times now, and for whatever reason, it didn't work. So hopefully this works. So what I'm gonna talk about is um, I'm gonna talk about my thoughts on slavery and how they changed throughout the book and things like that, and then I'm also gonna touch on chapter 37 when she does her little visit to England. So, um, my thoughts on slavery. I feel as though I was pretty educated on the topic of um, of slavery before reading this book, just because of like high school and like history classes they kind of talk about it. I even watched videos in high school that kind of like showed what slave life was like and how they were treated, and those videos were actually pretty vivid and a little disturbing. But so I feel like even before reading this book, I had a good grasp on what slavery was like. But um, one of the things that surprised me was that Harriet Jacobs, um, she was intelligent, she was strong, and like she was tenacious. And to write her life struggles and her road to freedom as well as she did, um, just goes to show you that like it's pretty inspiring and even like kind of motivating to anyone reading this book. And the stories, I think it's dramatic, it's explicit, it's vivid, it's illustrative, it's honest, and um, they all those words contribute to like the unthinkable horrors and trials of slavery, and the sickening violence, and even like the waste of a life, or the waste of a girl's potential because she was enslaved most of her life. But even like throughout the story and throughout her struggles, she remained selfless when it came to her children, and when it came to others. And I feel as though that just shows how truly a special woman Harriet was. I personally can't imagine being in her shoes and surviving the struggles that she did, um, and surviving like on her path to freedom and coming out like such a selfish individual with the way that she did. I feel like in modern times today, it's easy to say to someone that like you'll help them, or you'll be there for them, or um, like you want to improve their conditions, or their situations. But when it's your turn to be in that hardship, um, the first person you think of, or the first person that you try to protect, is yourself. And I feel like that's just basic human natural instincts to kind of look out for yourself. But for Harriet Jacobs, it's kind of different. For her to ignore her basic human instincts and to give to her children and others, um, safety and support, really, really just shows the content of her character. So, as far as for what I think of chapter 37 and how she kind of characterizes her experiences, I found like a couple of the quotes that stood out to me. The first one is, "The suppers seemed to me less luxurious than those I had seen in American hotels, but my situation was indescribably more pleasant. For the first time in my life, I was in a place where I was treated according to my deportment, without reference to my complexion." So when I read that, um, I felt that she just had like a weight lifted off of her shoulders, um, and she just felt like genuinely free. And that kind of goes along with my next quote when she says, "Ensconced in a pleasant, is that in skunk? I don't know how to say that word. In a pleasant room with my dear little charge, I laid my head on my pillow for the first time with a delightful consciousness of pure, unadulterated freedom. So, like I said, I just feel like she was, um, she just felt free, and she felt like, um, kind of like worryless, like she didn't really have to worry about escaping or hiding. She was just free over in England. And then the last quote that I had picked out, was it was at the end of the chapter. It was like one of the last paragraphs, maybe like the second to last or even the last one. She said, "During all that time, I never saw the slightest symptom of prejudice against color. Indeed, I entirely forgot it till the time for us came to return to America." So that kind of stood out to me because that just kind of goes to show us that she got a taste of what life was like outside of slavery, and I felt like if she could, like, she would have stayed in England. I'm sure she would have liked to, not return to America, or not be in America in the first place, where she was enslaved and kind of just like captured and condensed into slavery. Um, so basically, um, the way she said those things, those quotes, and the words she used. She said unadulterated freedom, and she said she didn't feel any prejudice against color or anything like that. Um, that just showed me that, like, America and slavery was so rough for her, and so hard for her. Um, and yeah, that's all I got. Hopefully this uploads this time.